Good morning, good morning. It's getting darker and darker here in Gothenburg. And, well, we Swedes are pretty used to living in complete darkness. Usually, like a lot of the tourists and foreigners that I talk to ask me about like how they get almost depressed because it's so dark almost all year around here. And I say, well, if you have noticed that a lot of Swedes, especially like during summer, they will simply stop in the middle of the road when the sun comes out and kind of go like this. Like close their eye and face towards the sun. Do not be alarmed. This is perfectly natural. What's happening is that the Swede is much like a flower, where they are absorbing the sunlight and storing that for the winter. That's how we keep ourselves so happy and joyful all year around, even though we spend most of our life in darkness. Anywho, I thought I was going to talk about some of my favorite things about Rust. Now, Rust is a Mozilla initiative. It's a system level programming language, just as Go. And the thing is that, if I'm completely honest with you, I am looking at Rust and Go and going, why would I pick one over the other? Like, I'm one of those people who wants to believe, and I still think that this is true, that there's always one thing like about a programming language that it does better than any other programming language. Always one benefit, at least some reason for me to pick this language for a specific use case or for some reason. So that's what I'm looking for with Rust and Go. Like, from my perspective, the biggest benefit with Go has been, like, it's a system level language, but it also has a lot of these nicer, like, it has a very nice, like, HTTP server and like templating and it feels very designed for web work. And that's pretty cool, I think, from a system level language. And then it has a lot of other stuff that it doesn't really like. Of course, it doesn't do everything perfect. And then you have Rust, and Rust has it has a well-working package system called Cargo. So, I mean, it's already ahead in terms of package management in comparison to Go. On the flip side, it doesn't have like a standard HTTP server library included and that type of stuff. I get more of a system level language feel to it, like a standardized, like classical system level C++ type of thing from it. And the syntax is fairly similar. It's not that much of a difference. What else? I've looked at some benchmarks some people have made, and allegedly Rust might be a little bit faster. I'm not 100% sure about that one, but there you go. And what else? Rust has... What else does it have? So a nice package management system, and it does have... Well, it has IDE support, for example. Like, you can use IntelliJ, so it's just a plugin, and it works out of the box. You can start working with it immediately. Oh yeah, and this is the big one. Sorry, I forgot. So the big thing about Rust, which I think is probably the best initiative I have seen, the only programming language, I argue, that does this better than Rust, is Elixir. And React does this very well as well. And that is to have very, very good descriptive error messages. The compiler in Rust is just amazing. One of my absolute least favorite things about C and C++ is that if you make a mistake somewhere and the compiler complains, it's very difficult to know what's wrong. It's because the errors are so obscure, and it's very difficult, at least for that's what I feel. It's very difficult to figure out what's wrong. Not in Rust. Rust will actually you get really descriptive messages, and it even gives you tips on what to do and what not to do. And just like Go, and so like Rust is a safe programming language, so you don't have like the common issues with threading and all that stuff, and buffers that you have in C, for example. So to me it feels like Rust is really going for developer productivity and adoption of the language, and it still behaves just as a system level language, or rather it is intended to be a system level language, but it does have this emphasis on basically becoming C++, but with a much higher, a bigger emphasis on developer experience and developer security and adoption rate, and like being more beginner friendly. So that's how I feel about that. And then versus like Go feels, as I said, more like it has almost all the same things, but it feels like Go is putting more emphasis on like microservices and having like basically giving you a web-based interface. Now, which one do I like best? That still remains to be seen. Right now it's Go for me, because like I do a lot of web work, and I think it's pretty cool to have a native or a system level language that can do all these like really high performance things, but also has the web interface, because that kind of gives me the feeling like, why would I choose any other language if I have better performance and the same type of interface that I get from Node and so forth and Express. But that's how I feel about that. I'm very keen, like I'll keep you updated. I'm on a journey. I'm trying to figure out a definitive reason, or a really good separation. Like I want to know, when would I choose Go and when would I choose Rust? And right now the main benefits of Rust is the compiler and the package management system, but I would like to find something more concrete than that.